listening to the Balancing Act podcast. Here's your hosts, Jamie Wanko and Joe Vitale.
Hey, guess what?
Who knew?
Who knew? We're officially recording.
We are. Hello and welcome to the Balancing Act podcast. I am Jamie Wanko here with Joseph Vitale. We are cracking ourselves up on the way into this episode, and hopefully that will be the vibe for the whole thing. How are you, Mr. Vitale?
I mean, I'm amazing. I'm great. I put my
You're
favorite
good?
shirt. I put
Thumbs
my
up.
favorite shirt on today. I don't know why this is my favorite shirt, but I'm like, you know what? I'm wearing this shirt today. It's my favorite shirt.
It kind of looks like a little bit flowers, but it also looks like it could be fireworks.
It does. It's got like that kind of vibe to it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
Let me
Baby,
pull it
you're a
out.
firework.
Yeah, that's me. Me and Katy Perry. Well, we have a great guest who's gonna help us with, again, our whole concept here is balancing life and teaching and parenting and all those fun things. And Kelsey's gonna fix it all. So she's our guest today that's gonna jump in here. So let's get her in the room, shall we?
Yeah.
Hey, Kelsey Sorenson, what's going on?
Hi.
How are you?
Hello. So good. How are you?
I'm amazing. Please fix our lives.
I know.
yeah.
I'm like, that was a big promise. Hopefully
Yeah,
I can
just-
somewhat live up to it.
So we are in the throes of a of a new school year. We're just rolling ourselves along, getting knee deep and ankle deep into all of the responsibilities that we have and the chaos to start the school year, as well as our kids' things that are going on. So we'd love to hear from you, and of course, first to hear about yourself, your story, and what's behind the whole concept of Educate and Rejuvenate.
Yes. And I feel like what we do has a lot in common because you're talking about teachers and everything they juggle. And I'm reminding teachers that you can educate and rejuvenate. That's so important that we know that we can have a life outside of teaching. And I feel like sometimes we don't think we can.
We can?
Yeah,
We can?
we can.
No way.
So I actually started my company almost 11 years ago, which is crazy. Actually, yeah, it'll be 11 years in 2 months.
That's amazing.
It was originally called Wife Teacher Mommy. It was just a TPT store. So that's why it was called that. It was about me. But last year, we finally rebranded to Educate and Rejuvenate, which is funny because we started our conference 4 years ago with that name. And we have been debating because we're like, people kept being like, well, I'm not a wife, or I'm not a mommy, or I'm not even a female, And we're like, yeah, we invite everyone into this community. It's not about me. And we couldn't think of the name. And then when I was writing my book, Educate and Rejuvenate, and it came to me, oh, what if I titled the book Educate and Rejuvenate, like our conference? And I was like, wait, we've been trying to think of a name to rebrand to for years. We just had to be the right one. And then we did it. So that was really exciting. And so now we're Educate and Rejuvenate. I'm going off on rabbit holes. Sorry.
No, this is perfect.
No, not at all.
It's like a Wednesday morning as we're recording, and
we want to know. We want to know the backstory. And full
Yeah.
disclosure, before you came on, you were like, "Hey, my kids are knocking on my door," and
They were.
my husband's nowhere to be found. We've been there. We've been in that. We've been in that mode before.
And for those of you that are not watching on YouTube, we're going to just tell you, or Spotify, that Kelsey is gloriously matching her background. And not only does her shirt, we were talking about Joe's shirt earlier, not only does her shirt match one of the stripes on her wall, her lipstick also matches one of the stripes on her wall.
I was
I'm
just
living,
gonna
it is giving me
I was
life
just going
right
to
now.
mention that. I was just going to
Yes.
mention that. You totally stole my thunder. I'm so observant, and these are the things that I always pick up
No.
on.
Joe looks
No.
at it looks like everything is black and white for him, so the color just came to life.
Yes, it did. It just
You
it just
two are
popped
so
for me.
fun. We're gonna have a great
yeah.
time. No,
Um,
I have my colors. They're the green, the pink,
I
the
love
blue. They're on everything Educate and Rejuvenate related. So like
Yeah.
I wear shirts that are the brand colors. I wear the lipstick that's the right pink. Yeah. So
It's perfect.
if you
I
go
appreciate it.
on Instagram, I
All
have
right,
like
wait a
3
minute.
different
Wait a minute.
outfits I wear for my
Wait a minute.
reels.
so like that's seriously intentional?
It's
Like-
intentional.
Oh,
It's
okay. All right.
intentional.
Listen.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I got
what?
to.
That was such a boy moment for you, Joe. Come
Yes.
on.
There is no doubt about it that was a boy moment. There's been a lot of boy moments for me in the last couple months. I had to take my daughter to the mall because she had to buy as she likes to call them, booby cutlets, for a strapless whatever thing that she was wearing. And
Yes.
there's just a lot going on with stuff like that and trying to
Yeah.
figure out and she's like, well, what size should I get? I'm like, I'm out. I'll be outside.
I have
I'm
no
I'm
clue.
nope. Nope. Don't want to know. Don't care.
I'll meet you at Wetzel's Pretzels.
Holy crap. That's exactly where we went.
I know
We went
you.
to Wetzel. We were at Windsor, and then we went to Wetzel's Pretzels. I was like, let's go get pretzels. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
And they were underwhelming. Talk about rabbit holes. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Are we off the
Oh,
track?
I love it.
Yeah,
like,
here we are.
This is like I'm at home. We go down rabbit holes. We do this in my membership too. We'll be like talking about the nervous system, and then somebody will put something in the comments, and we like go down rabbit hole for a minute, and then I'm like, okay, let's go back to what we were talking about. You know?
Right. But no,
Right.
I actually saw a friend of our show, a guest who's been on, Anna Kowal.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah,
Yes,
she's
She was
amazing.
our keynote at our summer conference. Yeah.
Yeah, she was. And right after we had her on our show, and she puts out great content and talks a lot about the profession, but also talks about like how we can, recharge the batteries and get ourselves that space that we need in order to be the best version of ourselves, the best husband, the best father, the best wife, the best mother. Like, but no, and that's kind of like how this whole thing came about. I was like, she was going to be on your conference. I was like, you know what? I need to talk to Kelsey and see if we can get her on the show. And here we are.
I'm so glad you did. We've been coordinating this for like a couple of months now,
Yes,
and now
we
it's
have.
finally happening. I love it.
And when this show is released, if you're listening to us now, folks, just a little teaser, we are going to be on Kelsey's podcast.
Yes.
So you'll be able to find a link to her show in the description down below. So definitely when you're done listening to this entire episode all the way to the end, definitely head on over to that link and check out our continued conversation with Kelsey.
Yes, and it's called Educate and Rejuvenate, the podcast. Surprise, surprise. That is everything. We have named everything. Educate and Rejuvenate. Even my book is Educate and Rejuvenate. Our membership is the Educate and Rejuvenate Club. Our conference is Educate and Rejuvenate. It can get a little confusing sometimes, but also easy to understand, right? They're all part of the Educate and Rejuvenate world.
You are a brand, girl, down to the lips.
Yeah. That's right.
I never thought of it that way, but
so tell us a little bit about your background for those of you who don't know.
I didn't talk about that, huh? I just talked about the whole like brand thing. So which I love, but so I started teaching third grade. I taught third grade, and then I had my son, and I decided to stay home with him and substitute teach part-time. So I substitute taught for about 4 years in all elementary, so all the elementary grade levels. And while I was doing that is when I started my paid teachers store. So I started creating sub plans because I had been in the classroom as a teacher, and then I started subbing, and there were times where I would be like, oh, I'm supposed to make this last the whole day. How do I do that? So I started making my own to bring, and then I put them on TPT. And both teachers and subs loved them because, taking a day off is the worst thing in the world when you're a teacher, right? Like, what other job do you have to lay out everything you would do for a whole day? Like, I can't think of another one.
and in particular, as an elementary school teacher, because for those of us who teach secondary, you may have, 1 or 2 different preps, but for elementary school, you could look at 7 or 8 and filling an entire day, especially when you don't feel well and you genuinely have that like wake up in the middle of the night, oh no, what am I going to do? So that is a genius idea.
Yeah.
And for me looking at that, like I know I make jokes about, I have some close friends that are elementary school teachers and I bust their chops like, oh, what are you finger painting this week? Ha ha ha. And trust me, elementary school teachers work harder than any group that's out there because of,
I feel like they're just different. Like people are, you're either in elementary or you're secondary. I find very few people feel.
Yeah. And it's, what's really funny is like, I look at that age group and I'm like, nope, not gonna happen. And then many look at our age group and like, oh my God, I don't know how you do it. How do you do middle school? How do you? Yeah. So that's, and by the way, like third grade, that age, as soon as you said third grade, I was like, oh, like that's the age that like, I probably, of course I love my children, but like, that's the age that I loved the most with them. Cause they start like really understanding things a little bit more and they could do more fun things. And like, the sports start, you get to watch them achieve stuff. And it's just a very fun age that I remember fondly. I just really enjoyed that time period with my
I
kids.
always think of third grade as the first year where they start to become like socially mean. Like there's a
Oh.
divide.
They
Like
do.
there's
Well,
some,
especially the girls. They can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something that odd that happens. Like second grade to me is like the last
Yeah.
like age of like, we're all friends.
That's
These
right.
are all my friends on the playground. And then something happens in third grade where they start to like socially divide themselves in some way. And
Yeah, the girls are like, your lipstick doesn't match your background. I'm not going to be friends with you anymore.
Oh my gosh. I
Meanwhile,
mean,
boys are like, whatever. And we just, we're just
Yeah.
idiots and laugh at fart jokes. But yeah, that's
So
very
you
cool.
had it. So you had your
Sorry.
teachers be teachers with substitute plans.
I did, yeah. And then so I put them up, and it was a slow trickle at first, but eventually a pin on Pinterest went viral, and that was back when Pinterest was like even bigger than it is right now.
Wow.
And so it took off, and I'm like, okay, I'm like doing this. I'm running a company now. Cool. Like it didn't even really mean to. I just meant to like kind of put some stuff up there. Um, Eventually we started branching into more different types of resources. And then the COVID pandemic hit. And for the first week of that pandemic, it was like sales went way up. At that time, basically sub plans were all we were selling. So it went way up because people were like, oh, what if I get sick? But then school was closed. And then it was like nosedive. And by this point, this is what was supporting my family. I had hired a team member, one of my friends who I taught with, to actually come work for me. And I was like, oh, what do we do now? So we started creating digital resources and packets. And then we actually started a membership of all of our resources when like closer to when school started back up. And that is when I surveyed the membership and I was like, what else do you need? Thinking like, what other resources should we create? And surprise, surprise, burnout is what kept coming up. Like, I'm so overwhelmed. Like, it isn't like another printable is going to fix this. Right. And personally, I had actually the year before when I had my third child gone through postpartum anxiety, where my anxiety had I tell this story in depth in my book, but I always had anxiety. I just thought it was a part of me that I couldn't get rid of. Right. But then it really came to a head when I had my third child and had postpartum anxiety. I didn't sleep for almost 48 hours. I ended up in the ER. And like when I say that, I'm not exaggerating. And it's not even because of my baby. It's because when I tried to lay down, my body would just like jolt me awake. It was like this panic attacks, right? So I went to the ER. I thought I was having a heart attack and they diagnosed me with postpartum anxiety. They got me on medication, starting to see a therapist, and that helped. And that is when I realized that I didn't want to just worry my life away. I wanted to enjoy my life. And so that is when a few months later, I felt like I was getting to a more stable place, like where I was before. But I was like, this isn't enough. I want to actually stop living in this perpetual, I'm anxious about everything cycle, because that was me from the time I was a little girl. Like, I was a little girl who we'd learn about volcanoes in school, and all of a sudden I'd be like, is that mountain over there a volcano? And my mom would be like, no, it's not. I'm like, no, I think it's a volcano. And I would just worry about it like constantly. So I started working with a life coach, and that is actually what helped me to get out of that and start to learn some skills that I could use both in my work overwhelm, in my personal overwhelm with everything. And so that was 6 years ago. And since then, like, it has been incredible, the transformation I've seen with all the tools, all the things that I've learned, the certifications I've done, the teachers that I've been working with. So what happened when I did that survey and overwhelm came up, I'm like, oh, they don't need more printables. They need what I've been like working through myself. Like, that's what they need.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided to not only, well, first I hired a life coach to come in. And I thought that, oh yeah, that'll be it. I'll hire a life coach to come in and do that. But it was a few months later that I decided, no, I need to certify. I need to become like a life coach in my own program. So I did that. And so I've been doing that since 2021, 2022 now.
Mm-hmm.
How does someone go about becoming certified in that way?
So there are tons of different certifications. So the way I started was I did the one that my coach, who I who I, worked with and loved, I did the same one that she did.
Okay.
And then technically for life coaching, it's a bit different than therapy, where it's like you can only work with, for a therapist, it would be a patient in your state, right?
Mhm.
And with a life coach, it is a little more muddy. There's not like an actual, like somebody could just say, I'm a life coach, right? But there are different certification programs that you can go through that actually prepare you for working with clients and the tools and all of that. But so many coaches, we bring in a different variety of things that we've learned from our own experience as well, and we bring that in. Now, one thing I always am clear with the members, for example, I actually don't even work with one-on-one clients. It's all in a group. We have a membership, and we just discuss it. I have a monthly theme that I teach, and then we like have kind of more like office hours or open coaching throughout the rest of the month. And so it's in a group format. So I'm like, if you need more support, like I highly encourage that you do talk to a therapist or get medication, or this is just one tool or toolbox. It's the community piece. And that is important. There have actually been studies that I cite in my book that show that the group coaching, and this is the coaches who went through the life coach certification that I went through, the tools that we use. They studied, and it was with doctors, but it was women in a high demand job. It was female physicians, and they studied them with and without the group coaching. And the group coaching made a huge difference in their levels. And, they're doctors. They know how to do all these studies. So like all these levels of like the NEF, like self-compassion score and all these different things. And they saw how much it drastically helped them. And that community is actually a huge part of that. Because when you think of Maslow's, right, that love and belonging is such an important piece of it. It's like, right at the bottom of the pyramid before self-actualization. So before we can have that, we need to feel like we belong. And that's what group coaching can do for us as teachers. And if you don't feel like you have that in your building, or you feel like you want a safe space where it's like maybe not teachers in your building, a lot of our community has found that the Educate and Rejuvenate Club is a great way to get that.
I love that so much. I had been in the same school for a really long time, and we had sort of created this like our own community in that sense. And so I left a few years ago, and now as the years have gone on, several people have left, retired, transferred, things
Yeah.
like that. And so I think that I can think of at least 5 of my friends that your community would be perfect for, because they do love teaching. They still want to be in it, but
Mhm.
that sense of belonging, everybody's sort of grasping at straws at this point of like, what am I supposed to do? And that is what happened to me also of starting in a new space. Like, I know that this is my career. I know this is what I love, but I didn't have that same sense of community that I once had. It was, it was completely gone. So
Yeah,
that
and
sounds really, yeah.
it's same district, right? Because I've had
Mhm.
some of the same. Jamie and I are in the same district, and I've had
Yeah.
some of the same
Mhm.
experiences where I've went from one building to another, for a variety of all for different reasons,
Yeah.
and all for good reasons. Not like
Mhm.
sometimes you need a
Yeah.
change. Sometimes you need a change. Sometimes it's a different opportunity, which is what happened when I went from one middle school to the middle school I'm at now. It's just how it wound up. But I also know some of the people that Jamie's talking about might be in a building where there's climate and culture issues, where there's, issues that, as teachers were, I guess this leads me to a question too, Kelsey. As teachers were, wanting to be in control, it's hard to relinquish, especially when there's decisions that are out of our hands that we have to put in place, whether it be student discipline, whether it be, curricula related things, change of programs. Um, so what are some ways that, that teachers can what tools in their toolbox could a teacher maybe look to through your program that would help them deal with those stressors, a little bit better?
Yes, I love this question. So this month, so we're in August right now. When this comes out, we'll be in September, and I'll talk about what we're doing there too. But I'm going to talk about August because we've already started, right? And
Yeah.
already utilizing these tools. That's what teachers are doing. So this month's theme is Anchor in the Storm. And the reason I called it that is because back to school, it feels like you're just being thrown in to another storm. There's so much going on. You don't feel like I don't feel like the teachers want me to be like, hey, here's a bunch of other things you can do, right? Because they already have enough things to do, right? What
Yeah.
we need to do is find our anchor. Like, what is it we can do when the storm hits, so that even when the outside is chaos, we don't necessarily have to feel that chaos inside all the time. And so with that, we really talked about our nervous system, and that's why I mentioned that, and how we can often get dysregulated. And that's one thing I think teachers, and one of the talking points we had, teachers and everyday jugglers have in common, the stress, the time constraints, the burnout. A lot of that is what we need is self-regulation. And oftentimes we aren't doing that. We are just feeling constantly dysregulated. We talked about like our window of tolerance and how often we find ourselves outside of it. We find ourselves consistently like anxious all the time, or, just feeling like I can't do another thing. I don't even want to get out of bed in the morning because I feel like the demands are just so high. And I've heard this in my community, teachers being like, I just feel like I don't even want to get out of bed. I just feel the weight on me. And so what we talked about is that it doesn't matter whether you're teaching 30 kids or juggling work from home with toddlers, your nervous system all the time is scanning to see if you're safe or if you're not. And so, and it doesn't matter if you are actually physically safe. Your body can't identify the difference between if you're being, like if there were actually a hurricane you needed to run from, like a physical storm, or just all the stressors in your life. And that can cause you to either shut down or go into hyper mode. And when that happens, that outside chaos becomes inside chaos. So we feel it all the time. And we lose access to our thinking brain. So oftentimes people will just be like, oh, you just need to think positively. You just need to think better about that. And often, like, I love mindset work. Actually, one of the biggest tools that we talked about in my certification is it's cognitive behavioral therapy based. It's the self-coaching model where we see how our thoughts can shape our feelings, our actions, and results. But when we're in that storm and we're feeling dysregulated, we lose access to our thinking brain. And that's our prefrontal cortex. And the part of us that problem solves all of that goes offline. So we're not lazy. We're not unmotivated. We don't need to shame ourselves about that. That is normal and that is human. We don't need to fix it in that moment. We don't need to fix anything. We just need to do something to help us anchor in. And so what we did as a community this month, for one, I talked about all the research and all the things about that. That was a very short version, but we created an anchor menu. And this is something that I learned from I'm doing another program right now. I learned from my mentor, Kate Northrup. And it's a nervous system menu where you can pick 1 to 5 things that you can do in that moment when you find yourself dysregulated. So it might be taking 3 deep breaths. It might be pushing your feet into the floor and grounding yourself. It might be, and again, you can have some that are depending on a situation. You want at least a couple that you could do if you're in the classroom and you're teaching, right? Like taking the deep breaths or pushing your feet into the floor. But also some things that help you to regulate are to laugh. Like maybe that's when you get out your joke book with your class and you share a joke and you all get a laugh together. Again, some things you can pre-decide, because when you can make a decision ahead of time of what you're going to do, you can create a habit of doing that, of self-regulating in the moment. And that's going to help this year go by so much more smoothly. And the great thing about it is we also talked about how can you set the tone in your classroom for that this year so that you and your students together can do this. Like have them create their own anchor menu, because again, how often are the students dysregulated? And then we all kind of our nervous systems like almost sync up, like, oh, you're just right, like we're gonna just trigger each other all over the place. So it's also a fun exercise that you can do with your students to set the tone for the school year as well.
That's fantastic. I mean, number one, I love a nautical reference more than the average. I just, I am an official boat captain. So it's like all the things. I don't have any tattoos, but I often think like that I would, that would be on my like top 3 list of what I would get if I got a tattoo.
Like an anchor or?
She does have an eye
anchor, yeah.
She does have an eye patch and a wooden leg. So she is part pirate.
It's true. Exactly. But I do, so I always say, all things from the sea are for me. So I do really appreciate that anchor in the storm. And also what I want to comment on is, as someone of my age, and there are, quite a few of us who are now like proud members of the We Do Not Care Club. When you are hit when you've been hit and attacked by perimenopause and are getting into menopause, the symptoms of dysregulation are, I mean, I don't want to frighten anyone in their, 20s and 30s, but as someone who's like tipping over into my mid to late 40s, it is completely something that, I mean, I wasn't someone who was anxious. I wasn't an anxious person. I didn't have symptoms of anxiety. It has hit me in the last couple of years in a way that I completely,
goodness.
I mean, it is just so insane. And last year, I had made a joke of it, but it was so real and true for me. I was covering a class where the furniture was so triggering to my, it would completely shut me down. There were chairs that had wheels the children could roll around. And on top of the rolling, they could spin them. And they could also, there was a click wheel, like thingy on the side. I mean, within like 30 seconds of being in there, I couldn't, it was, I mean, it was, I know you understand what I'm saying. So for people who, are kind of like, well, what's the big deal? It was, I couldn't function. And talk about your thinking brain. It wrecked me.
Yeah. Well,
It
I'm gonna
completely wrecked me.
jump in with two things.
Yeah.
I have a hot take and a hard pass right now.
Okay.
And I will die on this hill. I will kill you on this hill. That's the other thing I will say. Whoever decided that rolling furniture was a good idea in a middle school classroom,
oh my God,
should be tarred and feathered, and that is a PG thing for me to say. It is the dumbest thing in the history.
I can get on board. I can totally get on board for my sister's kids. When they were younger, there was a closet in their school, and some students who really needed it, there was like an alternative choice seating, or I can completely understand wanting some students like needing that movement or space. The whole room, like 25 11-year-olds, like
nope
at this, and then as soon as it's quiet, you get and it was like I can't be in here. And I would go back to my room, and everything was stationary, and there was like this immediate,
like, I can breathe. There's not all the noise of the chairs.
Oh my goodness. I mean, but I'm also the person who put I bought like those little felt like stickies. Because I don't care for the sound when the chairs pull out and like the metal is on metal. So I have all these little felt bottoms, and I know immediately when one of the felt needs to be replaced on a chair. I can hear it from, and I'm telling you, this is something that has taken over me in this age that I'm in right now, where it's not something 20 years ago where I would have had the same. So those kinds of things also, when you're talking about like rejuvenating, it is like, it could be something right now. You're 30 and you're thinking like, what? Well, guess what?
Right.
It's coming for you. I'm sorry to tell you.
Right. Yeah.
Can we pause?
Because some people aren't like me and they've always had it, right? Like it can hit later. And I've actually, Jamie, you're not alone. I've seen that like I'm in my 30s, but most of the people in the club are older than me, actually. And so
you're really speaking to the perimenopausal group right now.
Yes,
I'm telling you.
I really am. I feel like every day I usually am. And so I've seen that a lot. Like, it's been like, why is this happening now? And it can happen anytime. Like, even if you haven't had patterns of dysregulation, it can happen like because of perimenopause or just different things. Like, we have different stressors at different phases of life.
Absolutely.
Like aging parents, like that's
which is something we've talked about.
Yeah. And so, Kelsey, you just mentioned also a lot of people dealing with aging parents or things coming up in your life that you hadn't had to deal with before. And that is something that we talk about quite a bit, being part of the sandwich generation. It's something that Joe and I, are prevailing daily.
Card carrying members.
Yes. And so that can also really, throw you for a loop as well. So. any way to deal with those things too. And also as a parent now, I have which is another thing that really throws you can throw you overboard, so to speak, is
Overboard,
yes, is like parenting teenagers, because
Oh, yeah.
there's something really special about living with mini versions of yourself. And it's been a fun couple of years. I mean, I've been in middle school. Joe and I have been in middle school, 25, 27 years. We're starting my 25th year, his 27th year. So we are, we're used to middle school age kids. But when you are with them all day and then you come home to more of them, it's something really special.
And they're the little versions of you, like you mentioned. It's like karma.
And they know,
I mean,
we all know what our own triggers are, and they know how to just get you with a look.
I got very lucky because the 7th grade and 8th grade year for me was pandemic year. So I really lucked out where the stressors
kids were not in school,
because the kids were not in school and they weren't dealing with the stressors of 7th and 8th grade, which it's awful. I mean, Kelsey, think back. Like, would you want to redo middle school? Most people are like,
never.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because you also mentioned about like doing a student anchor menu, and a lot of time we're dealing with the most impulsive age group.
Absolutely.
And in your life, that's when you're most impulsive. There's hormonal imbalances. Your brain is still developing. You're figuring out about relationships and, do I like girls? Do I like boys? Like what? There's all sorts of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're managing, learning into all of that. So
everyone's better than you. That's what we have a lot of that. Everyone's better than me. I'm not good enough. Yeah.
And a lot of things that Jamie's talking about, like the things that I struggle is like, I guess I would say active teacher brain. Like the other day, just to give you an example, my daughter was getting a procedure done at the dentist. She was obviously uncomfortable. She was getting dental implants done and was not having a good time. I mean, who does?
The dentist.
So the doctor called me in because she was in the middle of doing something, and my daughter was kind of upset and was crying, which was par for the course. But like, I'm not making eye contact with the doctor because I'm watching what's happening in the room, because that's me being on cafeteria duty, having a conversation with an adult while scanning the room and watching what's going on to make sure everybody is doing what they're supposed to do. So my brain, and I had to actually, and the dentist I had spoken to multiple times, we had been to the office multiple times, so knows me. And I actually said like, hey, I apologize that I wasn't like fully engaged in that conversation. I can assure you I was, but that's where my brain goes when I see trauma or hear things. Like I can focus on the conversation, but I'm not going to look at you. And I don't want you to see that as a sign of disrespect. That's just how my brain works. I know that now. And it took me a while to kind of figure that out.
Well, I think just the fact that you communicated that was good too. It's like, hey, I was paying attention. This is how my brain works. This is how I work, and that's what we do is we all like with coaching. The important thing is like the framework I teach in my book is observe, choose, align. Those are the 3 steps. It's really quite simple.
Yeah.
But it's getting to know ourselves. I feel like
let's repeat that again, Kelsey. Tell us again.
Observe,
choose,
align. So observe is when we just get conscious of like Joe, for example, he noticed this pattern of this is how I am, right? This is how like in the cafeteria, I would do it this way. And then in the dentist office, it happened that way. So he observes like, oh, this is like, what the way I naturally handle these types of situations, right? And then choose is like, oh, like, and he chooses that's not a problem. So what I'm going to do is communicate that bit. Hey, I wasn't ignoring you. I was paying attention, but this is how I work. Again, that's a very simplified version of it, but like it's
no, but I get it.
And
that's I'm doing those steps without consciously knowing I'm doing those steps because and it happens all the time. There are times my wife, I don't want to say she calls me out on it, but she'll be like, hey, you're kind of not. I'm like, no, but I am. Like, but when we're in a public space like that and there's a lot of people around for a variety of reasons, I'm just active. Like my brain is active and I'm constantly looking around and listening because I'm a product of my environment. I mean, that's what I've I've been in that space for a very long time.
And we do have to mention, for those of you who are as big a fan as Joe's daughter, Sophia, as I am,
Yeah.
hey, girl, shout out to my girl. She's great. She's doing wonderfully. She's recovering beautifully.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
All,
Just wanted,
yes.
and, in case anyone else was curious, like, how did she do after the doctor's crying scene? She's great.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
She's ready. She's ready to be done with all of it. So,
Hard hands, love you.
yeah, I mean, who doesn't?
My girl.
But
Yeah.
no, and also she struggles with some of the same things that I struggle with in regards to anxiety and stress. And I'm listening to you talk about the anchor menu, and I'm like, yep, she's, we've talked about the fact that they're going into their senior year. She's applying to colleges. She's worried about the finances of everything. Why? I have no idea, because she's not paying for it. So it's like, just, you don't need to worry about that. Like, we'll cross all those bridges when we get to it. Like, I always joke, like, there's no luggage rack on a hearse. We're not going to take it with us. So it's either going to come to you now or it's going to come to you later, whether it's your education or something else. But for other people that maybe, and I use this phrase often, can't see the forest through the trees. How does
Those
somebody...
are some Joeisms.
Yes.
We have a list of Joeisms.
That's a Joeism.
Starting with in
I
the
love
throes.
it.
In the throes.
Yes.
Conversation.
Yes. Drink when you hear those terms. So how does
We all
one...
need our shots.
Yes. How does one recognize, like... Because sometimes, again, how does one recognize that they're even burned out to begin with? Like, sometimes it's hard to... Maybe you think, like, this is the way it is, but...
Right.
Sometimes it takes someone else saying, like, hey, you need to take a step back. And it's not just about thinking positively.
Right.
But, if there's any advice you have for people who are witnessing a loved one or family member go through it, be like, hey, you're experiencing a little bit of burnout here. Maybe we need to reset in a different way.
Yeah. So am I speaking to that family member, or am I speaking to that person?
Either one.
Because those would be
You
different.
choose. You
Oh,
choose.
different.
Yeah.
So that's
Both.
interesting, because Kelsey's identifying the difference between how you advise a family member who might want to step in on behalf of someone that they're noticing is having a problem.
Okay,
Right.
good point.
Differently to the person directly having the problem, right?
Got
Or the issue or the anxiety or the burnout or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Can we start with the family member? Because
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, we have a lot of people who are, not just actually teachers, but our spouses are listening in the car
Mhm.
alongside.
Yeah.
And, what we always want to say is, like, you don't, just don't go in tomorrow. Right. Just take a day off. Have
Right.
a mental health day. Things like that just calm down. Come and
Yeah.
sit and go. To me, it's like there's nothing worse than ever being told to calm down. So I would love for you to give a moment of that to the support
And
person.
but very quick, if any gentlemen who are listening to this podcast, just so you're aware, no woman has ever calmed down when being told to calm down.
For me, it puts me in an immediate tailspin of, like, I wasn't as angry as I was before.
Yep.
You told me to calm. Now I'm mad.
Yeah, sometimes I actually, I have done a much better job of not saying it, but sometimes I do say it and I see the words come out of my mouth and I
Like a
start,
cartoon.
no,
No.
no. Just come back here. Please, words, don't do that. Anyway, sorry. Kelsey, you were saying?
Okay. So if I were to advise the family member or the friend, they're seeing their somebody they know who's a teacher, I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Burning out in the classroom. So common, right? Like, we see that so often, teachers burning out, unfortunately, in all the studies. Now, if you are the friend or family member, you want to support them. The one thing I would caution is that sometimes we really want to control another person and what they do. Like, we want to do that, right? Because we care. We're like, I care about you so much. I don't want you to be burned out. I don't like seeing you do this. I think you need to just take a day off. And we can advise those things. We can make suggestions all day long, but we do not have control over what another person does. And we actually, in the Educate and Rejuvenate Club this year, we studied the book Let Them by Mel Robbins. Have either of you read that book?
Yes.
It's a good one because it helps us realize that, like, it's let them, they're going to do what they do. And then let me, like, I might choose, like, what is it that I do have control over? I don't have control over whether they do this, but how can I still, it's not like I don't care about them anymore. I want them to burn out. It's not that. It's just, what can I do to support them, but not, like, just add that I'm now getting in a spiral over where they're at.
Right.
Because like it's kind of like you're jumping in and drowning with them if we're keeping the nautical theme, right?
Yes.
So how can we be like a support to them so when they are ready to grab that like lifeboat or jump in, that we're there for them?
Yes.
But they do have to choose. Like we can't observe, choose a line for them. They have to do that. But we can be there. We can be ready. We can support them. And then what support can we get with any feelings or struggles we're having about our loved one and where they're at? That's what we have control over.
Genius. So true. Because it doesn't always help to, if someone is panicking, you you don't like, I don't know what to do. And then you're like, I don't know what to do. So to
Right.
be ready to, that is an issue that happens often for me with my partner, because he will match I'm upset, It's just some,
Yeah.
and that is like, you don't. So to have some of those things ready in your mind to not kind of match that person's energy is also
Right.
very helpful.
And sometimes you do need to match the person's energy, right? There are times
Right.
when my wife will be venting about something like, "Yeah, you know what? I hate that too. That's
Yeah.
that person
Yeah.
at work who did that thing. I hope that, yeah."
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to get in the same headspace.
Or
But
my husband's favorite line, I hope they
oh,
get diarrhea.
I mean,
It's
I
always
have
his wish.
adopted saying that because it is hysterical. But yeah, there's really some great tools that one can find on www.educateandrejuvenate.com. And what can like you regards to joining the group, right? What are some things if one becomes a member? What does one benefit by being a member of your little community?
Okay.
Yep.
So the Educate and Rejuvenate Club, it is our signature coaching membership, but there are also a lot of bonuses. Like, for example, you know how I mentioned that we started creating resources. So all of those are a part of it too, but at this point, they're kind of a bonus. So you get all the subplans, you get all the, social emotional learning, math, reading, science. We have all of that for pre-K through 6. You get all that as a bonus. But what is the heart of the club is our coaching and our community. So what we're doing this year, this year changed it up a little bit. It's just making it even better than it was before. Now we have a monthly theme. So like I mentioned, this month's theme was Anchor in the Storm, and we talked about creating the anchor menu, our nervous system. All of it is very teacher geared, teacher related. Each month's theme is tied into what you might be experiencing then, but also like we didn't only talk about back to school. It was for like any storm at any part of your life, so you can always revisit it. So we have the monthly themed call that we do. We have then open coaching calls where you can come in, ask your questions, be coached. Last week, I had 2 incredible members come on and be coached about. And again, I'm not going to give details because like what happens in the club stays in the club is what we say. But get supported.
love
And
that. Yeah.
the incredible thing that happens is that whatever anybody comes on and shares and gets coached about, there are other people in the chat who are like, this is exactly what I needed to hear. So whether or not you ever even come on, you're going to hear from someone else and see how their situation relates to yours. Sometimes it's like really close, like, oh my gosh, I'm going through that like exact same thing. Other times it might be like, oh, like this applies to this thing in my life or in my teaching. And you learn so much from hearing other people. I hear that again and again and again. And it's just so powerful, the coaching that happens inside the club. And the great thing is that we have 4 to 5 calls per month. So if you pick just one to come to, like that alone is worth it. But also we put them all into our mobile app. So you can listen to any of them anytime. If you can never make it live and you just turn it on while you're driving to and from school and listen to it like it's a podcast, or watch it while you're doing the dishes, airplay it to your TV, whatever you want to do.
The girl's got an app? That's what is happening?
We have
Yes.
Yeah.
Big time.
That's crazy. I love it.
Amazing.
I love
Yeah.
it, by the way. I'm sorry. I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
very
That's awesome.
surprising.
Our members are loving the app. It's really cool. I mean, if you want to know how to do an app, it's not like custom coded. It's like a cool platform we use that turns it into an app. It's really fun. But what we love is it makes it so easy to use at your fingertips. You can open it anytime. One of our members, she said it, and now everybody in the club is saying it. Like, when you have a bad day, there's always a replay. It's like you're having like you're just not feeling it. You're like, you can go in, you can just play whatever you want. You can use the search bar and be like burnout and find the one that has to do with whatever you're thinking about, or hard conversation. Search that. Listen to a call about that. So whatever support you need, it's there. And then we do have a live call every single week, other than like, Thanksgiving, Christmas, things like that. There's always a call, because it's not that we expect people to come every week or even listen to all of them. It's so that it's there when you need it. So if you're like, oh, this week something is coming up for me, I need to be one of the ones coming on, boom, it's there for you. So that is why we have a weekly call, is so that you can get support every single week if you need it, and it's there for you. And if not, then you can, it's there for you when you do need it. The other cool thing we have in there is we have created 4 GPTs, custom GPTs for our members that have been trained in my entire book, my certification materials, frameworks.
What is happening? I love all of this. First of all, that we like, you're my life coach now.
I love it, Joe. I'm going to give you the link to the GPT. You should try it out, because
I would love to. Yeah, that's great.
I love being coached by my own GPT. Like, when I'm feeling stressed, I go and I grab that GPT, and like, you can just like brain dump into it, and it'll coach you on the spot. So when our members, like, you're in that moment, you're like, I can't even wait until that call on Thursday or whatever, or I can't make it, and I just need support right now, or during recess, or during prep. You have it there. So it's linked in the app. And what I recommend is that our members also download the ChatGPT app, because then it's seamless. And then you can click on the button, it opens the GPT, and you can just chat right to it. So we have the regular life coach GPT that can coach you in anything. We also have a very specific intentional schedule GPT that goes through the framework in chapter 10 of my book, which is all about creating a very intentional schedule for your week, inside and outside of teaching. And you can use that each week to do your weekly planning. Then we have another GPT that is your money saver coach, so that we know as teachers, we're pinching our pennies a lot. And so that can help with that. We wanted to make it so that the membership pays for itself. So that is why we added that GPT as well, and to just support you in that way. And then the final one is the lesson curator GPT that will match you with a resource in the Educate and Rejuvenate club that you already have access to, or if there's not one for it. For example, for you secondary teachers, we actually don't have a lot for you. Sorry, as far as that goes.
Yeah, that's right.
But it'll use kind of our lesson plan framework to create something for you. So
Kelsey is fixing everybody in every way.
We told you.
And
we told you.
My goodness. I mean, we knew it. Duh, of course.
I'm now dubbing you the architect of fixing things. That is, yes.
So I have to show you. I have to grab these. They're like across my desk. So where did they go? Each month, we do a challenge. Each month we do a challenge in the club, and the challenge just helps you to use it, right? To come to the calls or whatever. And there's another, it's too far. I can't reach it. So we have each month, if you do the challenge, you get a sticker in the mail. So this is just our brand one. We have another cute one that has the and, because we talk a lot about, if you came to our summer event, we talked about the and people wanted the and on everything after we talked about it, because it's all about how you can educate and rejuvenate. We had like where people are holding up signs like I educate, and they would fill in their own blank of what they do, like read or ride my bike or whatever. Just a reminder that you're a whole person outside of teaching.
I love that. Yeah.
So starting in September, the sticker each month is going to relate to the theme of that month. And I'm going to have to go back and do August, because how can we not do like an anchor sticker? Like I didn't think of it until later.
You're going to have to do that now.
Yeah.
So if people do September's challenge, if you join and do September's challenge, you're going to get the anchor sticker. And I have to figure out what the actual sticker visual is going to be for September still. That's on my list for the rest of this week, actually. But September is going to be all about habits and finding our energy drains, because I surveyed the membership and was like, I listed all the things I want to teach this year. But what is the most urgent? And those are the 2 that were the top. So September is energy drains and habits. So we can, find those energy drains, kind of plug them up. and then create better habits. And then October is going to be boundaries and hard conversations. So that's how far we planned out for now. And by September, we're going to have the whole year planned out. And I'm just like still working on it. So
you can, of course, you can go to www.educateandrejuvenate.com to get information about becoming a member of this little community. Anything else special you want to mention about being a member of this community there, Kelsey, for our listeners?
I feel like I shared a lot about it, but what I do want to share is that if you go to the website, you will find the club at full price. But if you go through the special link I'm going to give Joe and Jamie, you can join for $1 to try it for your first week and then lock in our old pricing. So it's currently $49 a month. We have members paying that. But you'll pay our old pricing of $37 a month, which when you think of like one session with a life coach is normally, if you Google, it's an average of $150. The membership, like you could download $100 in resources from like our shop every month too. Like it does pay for itself, but that's why we created that GPT too, because we're like, we know it's an investment, but it's an investment in yourself.
Yeah.
That is totally worth it. Like we have members who've been around for 4 years because they're like, I can't not have it.
Sneak peek, October's sticker is going to be a dumpster fire that is going to represent what Kelsey's going to help me put out, which is my life.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious to have a dumpster fire sticker. Can you imagine? We're also envisioning like if people collect the stickers like through the year, it's like, oh, what do they get when they do that? We're still figuring it out. It's fun. We're like,
I love it.
I love that too.
Stuff you're doing is brilliant. And you know, you can also, by the way, I guess you can call it part 2 of our conversation of our little guest swap is going to be on Kelsey's podcast, which we'll have linked down below as well. So, you know, as always, Jamie, I appreciate you. Kelsey, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and some of the information that you've shared with us. And for our listeners to really go through this whole process and check out the club.
Kelsey, from the lipstick to the app, I appreciate every minute of what you said. I mean, all the things. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Balancing Act podcast.
It's been so much fun. Thank you for having me. And then one other thing I forgot to tell your listeners is that I do have a freebie too. So even if they're not ready to join the club, if you go to Instagram and comment on, we have a bunch of our posts that are the most popular. They're permission slips. They're giving you permission to do lots of different things, like, you know, leave at contract time or whatever.
Yeah.
If you comment on any of those posts, comment permission. It'll send you our brand new printable permission slips where you can actually print them out on sticky notes and put them around your room to remind yourself all those things. So check that out too. I forgot to mention that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kelsey. And we'll see everybody next time on the Balancing Act podcast.
Look for the Balancing Act podcast every week on your favorite podcast platform. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Thank you for being a part of our audience. We appreciate you.